What's going on, everybody? Seth here, coming at you with my top 10 favorite films of 2019. Man, it's been a good year for film. A lot of things that I really enjoyed. It started off a little bit slow, like it usually does, but a lot of good movies. Of course, I'll say before I get into this, just my personal top 10 favorites. There's no rhyme or reason to it. Yours is obviously going to be different. But these are the 10 films that I enjoyed the most. And I'd also like to say I have not seen 1917 yet, which I'm sure would probably be in this list, and stuff like Waves, which I also wanted to see, but I didn't have a chance. So I'm making this based on what I've seen so far. Got my phone here with my letterbox. Follow me, Seth Talks Film. I've got my list set up here. Just going to kind of go off and read these top 10 films of 2019. All right, number 10 on my list, Tom Hanks. I love Tom Hanks. I was really excited for this movie. That is A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Tom Hanks playing the role of Fred Rogers, who, and who didn't grow up watching Mr. Rogers. I was so excited to see how he was going to capture this character. And man, I thought he did a really good job. Of course, at first I was a little bit skeptical because I'm like, Tom Hanks, Mr. Rogers, I don't know, but I thought he really did a good job with mannerisms. This movie's about a guy, it's a true story, a journalist who gets assigned to write this article on Mr. Rogers. And of course, this guy's going through his own things with his dad. And, so it's kind of the dynamic between Mr. Rogers and this journalist. And man, I really enjoyed it. I thought the movie was its best when Hanks was on the screen. When he was not on, it suffered just a little bit, but just a good kind of heartwarming film. So, Tom Hanks really killed it as Fred Rogers. Really, really happy with this movie. That is A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood at number 10. All right, next up, number 9 on my list. This is kind of I don't know, I feel like a lot of people either didn't see this, or if they did, it's probably not going to be in their top 10, but something about this movie really stuck with me. That is Judy, Renee Zellweger, playing the role of Judy Garland. Judy Garland, much later in her career, I think this was like 30 years after she did The Wizard of Oz and stuff. And
it was right around her death.
Yeah, this was kind of the end of her life, and she's, arriving for this series of concerts, and it's just like the downfall kind of Judy Garland. You see her, like I said, later in life. She's got some struggles, obviously, that people know about, but what I really enjoyed about this movie was how it incorporates flashbacks to her days with MGM, which is, that's a notorious story about the way she was treated by MGM and, the bigwigs there and some of the abuse that she faced in her younger days. So throughout this movie, you kind of get flashbacks to her, on set at The Wizard of Oz right around that time, and just seeing how some of these dirtbags really treated her. It's a really good movie. I hope Renee Zellweger gets an award for this, because just almost creepy how well she gets into the Judy Garland role. You really almost feel like you're watching Judy Garland. So I've always been fascinated with her story, and I thought this was a really good movie. Kind of just focuses on the end of her life, and that's fine. It doesn't need to be a full-fledged biopic. It did a really good job. So that's Judy at number 9. Okay, number 8 on my list. I think a lot of people are going to have this higher than number 8, but I really enjoyed it. So Parasite, Bong Joon-ho. This movie is one of those films that I have not heard anyone say anything bad about. I went into this blind. I didn't know anything about it. I just knew that it was getting a lot of praise, and sat down, watched it in the theater, and man, I loved it. It was super creative, unique. Like, pretty much everything else I've seen from him is he's got some really interesting films, and this one was just phenomenal. The story, it's his family who kind of ends up, getting involved with this much wealthier family, and I don't want to spoil it. It's something you just have to experience, but super unique. And the way things progress and the way it ends is just I don't know. I love the fact that I went into this not knowing anything about it. It's just one of those that you have to experience. It's Parasite, number 8. Number 7 on my list is the newest film from Quentin Tarantino, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, starring Brad Pitt, Leonardo DiCaprio, Margot Robbie. Kick-ass cast. I was really looking forward to this. Kind of in the same way with Inglourious Basterds, that he took, a true story and kind of put an alternate twist on it. That's what we're doing here. Centers around, the Sharon Tate story and a lot of that. It's that time period, but there's a lot of factual stuff, but it's also fiction. Just a really good blend of that. Super unique. I was a fan of like, Hateful Eight. I didn't really love Django Unchained. So I was kind of happy to see Tarantino go back to this sort of film, kind of something gritty and not like a Western or anything like that. So had a good time with this. It's really crazy. The ending is just, a certain scene with DiCaprio. It's just like, whoa, vintage, just off the wall Tarantino. Just kind of shocking. And Margot Robbie was really, I think, the standout here. There's a certain scene when she, um, as Sharon Tate, when she goes to the theater, she's watching herself. And I don't know, I was really infatuated with the aspect of her character. But Brad Pitt, Leo D, I mean, both phenomenal. Great performances all around. I mean, classic Tarantino, always good to see a new film from him. And this lived up to the hype that is Once Upon a Time in Hollywood at number 7. Number 6 on my list is a Netflix film from Noah Baumbach, Marriage Story, starring Scarlett Johansson and Adam Driver. What a film. Title's Marriage Story, but it's about the end of a marriage, the divorce, and it's a messy divorce. They have a kid. Adam Driver's, he wants to be on one side of the country. Scarlett Johansson's character wants to be on the other. And it's just kind of showing the messy downfall of a marriage and the divorce and, a lot of the problems that show up for a kid that's, in the middle of that. And this is just like raw, great acting from Scarlett Johansson, Adam Driver. There's certain scenes where they're going back and forth. It's just super, very realistic. I don't know. I really, really enjoyed this movie. It's just great acting and, it's simple concept, nothing too complex going on here, but the dynamic between them and watching this kind of unfold and then them trying to, stay civil is it's a great viewing experience. That's Marriage Story from Noah Baumbach on Netflix. All right, number 5 on my list is I love this movie. Very simple. It's The Peanut Butter Falcon. Shia LaBeouf, Dakota Johnson, and this newcomer Zach Gottsagen or something like that. Young man with Down syndrome. He's really the star of this film. He's stuck living in this retirement home because his parents didn't want to take care of him. It's the only place that he can live, and he's got this fixation on getting to this wrestling school. So he escapes this house that he's living in, and he's basically on the run. He meets up with Shia LaBeouf's character, who's also going through some issues, and it's just kind of like a road trip sort of movie in that sense. I mean, they're kind of taking the water. They're on a raft. I don't know. This is just a heartfelt film. It's nothing too complex. Very simple premise. And meanwhile, Dakota Johnson works at this retirement home, so she's looking for this kid, and the three of them kind of come together, and they get him to this wrestling school. This was just I saw this in theaters twice. I was so like into it that I wanted to go back and watch it again. It was one of those feel good type of films. You can't really. I mean, nobody can go into this and watch it and say, "Oh, that just man," you just feel good after watching it. So that's Peanut Butter Falcon. I really, really have enjoyed the path that Shia LaBeouf's been on, and we'll come back to him later in this list. Okay, number 4. The follow-up to The Witch from director Robert Eggers. That is The Lighthouse. I love The Witch. I didn't when I first saw it. There's a particular video on this channel where I went to see The Witch. Did not care for it at all. Really, though, over the past...
I told him it was good.
Huh?
I told you it was good.
He did. I should have listened to this guy from the beginning. But, over the past couple years since that's come out, I've watched it multiple times. I truly think that's one of the finest horror films, especially in recent memory. I mean, that's just a masterpiece in my opinion. But it's one of those love it or hate it type of movies. But anyways, The Lighthouse, it's his follow-up to that. Robert Pattinson, Willem Dafoe. They're these two lighthouse keepers, and this is a hard movie to talk about because it's just so strange, so bizarre. Pretty much what I expected, what I had hoped for after seeing The Witch so many times. I wanted to see something else that was going to be just crazy and memorable, and this was it. These two guys are just kind of going back and forth with each other, cabin fever setting in. You don't really know what you're really seeing, if it's real or if it's somebody's imagination. It's just totally crazy. Just great filmmaking from Robert Eggers. He's a guy that I'm truly I'm so high on his work. I want to see what else he's going to do. I heard he was working on a Nosferatu or something in the future. He's got that on the works. I can't wait to see what he does there. But The Lighthouse, to me, it's I need to go back and watch it again, but as a follow up to The Witch, I couldn't have been more pleased with the way it came out. Just a bizarre, creepy sort of film, but not like a horror movie, really. I don't know how you would describe it. It's just kind of a strange, suspenseful film. That's The Lighthouse at number four. Okay, number three on my list. Like I said, we're going to come back to Shia LaBeouf. This is a film that he wrote. It's called Honey Boy, and he also stars in it. This film is kind of based on Shia LaBeouf's actual life growing up as a child actor. Shia LaBeouf is playing this kid's dad, which is a reflection on his dad. So basically, he's playing his dad, and it's about this kid who's, would have been like Shia LaBeouf working during the Even Stevens era. Him and his dad are living in kind of this dingy like motel. His dad is his manager, and I mean, the dad's got issues, and it just is showing you the hardships between a child actor and his dysfunctional dad, and really just like problems with substance and stuff like that. But what's interesting is it kind of goes back and forth. Lucas Hedges is the grown-up version of this character, and he's kind of like, it's almost like watching a hour and a half therapy session. Like Shia LaBeouf, I almost feel with this film like he sat down and wrote it out as like a therapeutic thing, and damn, it is so good. Shia LaBeouf, I mentioned earlier in this video, I really have been a fan of him in the past couple years. American Honey, Peanut Butter Falcon, this movie, Honey Boy, which I think this is probably his best raw acting performance. Just phenomenal film. Very simple, but very effective. It's one that stuck with me, especially that ending. I loved Honey Boy. All right, two left. Number two, Uncut Gems, newest film from the Safdie brothers, starring Adam Sandler in another kick-ass dramatic role. Like many comedians, when given a good script and a good opportunity, Sandler usually delivers. I mean, Punch Drunk Love, Reign Over Me. This is probably his best work, I think. I mean, just the Safdie brothers did Good Time a couple years ago. I loved that film. This is a phenomenal follow-up to that. Sandler's character works in this, kind of the dingy Diamond District of New York. He's involved in all sorts of issues with gambling. He owes people money. I mean, it's an intense film. It's, I don't know, you just kind of feel stressed out the whole time watching it. And Sandler's character's in a lot of problems, in a lot of trouble, but you don't really feel bad for him because he's not the greatest guy. So this just blew me away when I heard about it. When I heard that Sandler was going to be in the next Safdie brothers movie, I was so excited. The trailer dropped. That just kind of bumped the hype up for me even more. And this movie delivered. I really, really enjoyed it. Uncut Gems, number two. It's truly a fine film. And number one on my list, this is one of my most hyped films of all time. I've been looking forward to this for, a while now, ever since I heard about it. Netflix film. That is Martin Scorsese's The Irishman. Robert De Niro, Joe Pesci, Al Pacino coming together again. Pacino's never worked with Scorsese. This is the first time. And just to see all these guys at this point in their career, unbelievable. And, Scorsese, he's another guy he's kind of gotten away from the stuff that you might know him from. He's done Silence and a few things that, are not like Goodfellas and some of his more famous things. So this kind of got back into that gangster sort of environment. It's about Jimmy Hoffa and, this based on this book. I don't know, this 3.5 hours, it's a marathon, okay? But with a Scorsese film, I don't mind. I mean, I could have honestly sat through 3 more hours of it. We were lucky enough to see it in theaters like a week and a half before it came to Netflix. And normally I wouldn't do that. I wouldn't pay to go see it when I could just watch it a week later. But I thought for the new Martin Scorsese film, I've got to see this. And it's so good to see Robert De Niro back in something meaningful, not doing Dirty Grandpa or whatever the hell those crappy movies are that he's been doing lately. To finally see him back and to see that he can still do a movie like this. And Pesci, who hasn't been in anything for years, they really had to pull teeth to get him out. But I mean, it's absolutely great. It's what you would expect from these guys. And the main talking point of this film has been the de-aging CGI that they use, which I was very skeptical about that going in. And I mean, it's so well done. You almost forget that it's even going on. They do a good job at de-aging the characters. It's not distracting at all. If you like Goodfellas, you like Casino, those classic Marty gangster films, there's no reason you won't like this. I think it is among his best work. and that is why it's my number one film of the year. That is The Irishman. There you have it, guys. Those are my top 10 favorite films of 2019. Like I said in the beginning, there's a few things that I haven't had the chance to see yet because we haven't got it around here, 1917, stuff like that, which will probably work its way in. But for now, I'm really satisfied with this list. I think it's been a great year for film, especially that top five in particular. When I was going back and looking at my list, I'm like, man, this is a strong, strong year for film. So let me know what you think about my picks. I would love to hear what some of your guys' favorite films are. If you've done a top 10 video, send it to us. We'd love to check it out. Thanks for watching, guys. See ya.